The distress signal was mine. I knew at the moment I heard it through the static, same frequency, same encryption key, same voice breaking apart in the void. But I hadn't sent it yet. I was still strapped into the cryopod, frost melting from my eyelashes, my lungs pulling their first real breath in what the ship's log claimed was 47 years. The pod's glass lid hissed open and I saw the command deck bathed in red emergency lighting, every screen alive with warnings I didn't remember triggering. Outside the viewport, a star burned that had no name, no catalog number, no reason to exist. And below it, rotating slowly in a perfect orbit, was Earth. Not an Earth. The Earth. Blue oceans, white clouds, the same continental shapes I'd memorized in academy training. I ran every scan twice. Atmospheric composition identical. Magnetic field signature identical. Even the orbital period matched down to the millisecond. The ship's database showed nothing. No records of this star system, no logged course changes, no explanation for how we'd crossed a distance that should have been impossible even at full relativistic burn. I checked the mission parameters. We'd been heading to Kepler for 42b, a one-way colony run that was supposed to take 38 years of subjective time. The rest of the crew was still sealed in their pods in the lower deck, and every instinct told me not to wake them until I understood what I was looking at. That's when I heard my own voice again, clearer this time, coming from the surface. "This is Commander Hayes of the DSV Meridian. Critical failure. Life support compromised. Requesting immediate assistance." I felt my throat tighten. I was Commander Hayes. This was the Meridian. But I hadn't sent that message. I pulled up the communication logs and felt something cold settle in my chest. The signal wasn't new. It was old. 73 hours old, looping on repeat, originating from coordinates on the planet's surface that matched the landing zone we'd planned for Kepler 442b. I checked my own comm panel. No outgoing transmissions. No record of contact. I tried to respond, to reach whoever was down there, but every channel came back dead. Just my own words, over and over, asking for help that wasn't coming. I suited up and took the landing shuttle down alone. Protocol said to wake the crew, but protocol didn't account for this. The descent was smooth, too smooth, like the planet's atmosphere was welcoming me home. I sat down in a valley surrounded by mountains that looked exactly like the Rockies, except the positioning was wrong, rotated 20 degrees counterclockwise from where they should have been. The air was breathable. Temperature a comfortable 68 degrees. I stepped onto soil that felt real under my boots and followed the signal to a ridge half a mile east. That's where I found the wreckage. The ship was unmistakably the Meridian. Same hull configuration, same registry number stenciled on the side, same scorch patterns from atmospheric entry. But it was old. Decades old. Vines had grown through the shattered viewport. Rust bled from every seam. I climbed inside through a collapsed airlock and found the command deck exactly as I'd left it an hour ago, except everything was rotted and dead. The emergency lights had long since burned out. The screens were dark. And in the captain's chair, still strapped in, was a body in a flight suit with my name on it. I didn't scream. I should have, but I didn't. I just stood there staring at my own face, mummified and hollow, eyes sunken into the skull. The suit's life support pack was ruptured. Something had torn through it from the inside. I checked the logs on the auxiliary terminal, hands shaking so badly I could barely type. The last entry was dated 47 years ago. Same day I'd gone into cryosleep. The message was short. Woke up alone. Crew pods all empty. No explanation. Took the shuttle down to investigate the planet. Found nothing. No one. Just silence. I think the ship brought me here on purpose. I think it wanted me to see this. I don't know how to get back. I don't think I'm supposed to. The file ended there. No follow-up. No resolution. I backed out of the wreck and looked up at the sky, where the meridian, my meridian, hung in orbit like a distant star. I tried the comms again. Still nothing. Just the loop of my distress call, playing on repeat, echoing across a world that shouldn't exist. I spent 3 days exploring the surface. Every landmark I found corresponded to Earth geography, but shifted, like someone had rebuilt the planet from memory and gotten the details slightly wrong. I found cities that looked familiar but were laid out in patterns I didn't recognize. Empty streets. Empty buildings. No bodies, no signs of struggle, just absence. In what should have been New York, I found a library with books I'd read before, but the text was different. Same titles, same covers, but the stories inside had changed. Small things. Different endings. Different choices made by characters I thought I knew. I found a newspaper dated 3 months ago. The headline read, "First Contact Confirmed." The article described an encounter with an extraterrestrial signal originating from the outer solar system. We'd been trying to decode it for weeks. The last line of the article said, "Experts remain divided on whether the signal is a greeting or a warning." I tried to remember if that had happened before I left. I couldn't. On the 4th day, I went back to the wrecked meridian and searched deeper. I found the cryobay in the lower decks. The pods were there, all 47 of them, including mine. I opened mine first, dreading what I'd find. It was empty. Clean. No frost, no residue, like it had never been used. I opened the others. All empty. Except for one. The last pod in the row held a body I didn't recognize. Male, mid-30s, flight suit marked with a name I'd never heard. Commander Reese. His face was twisted in an expression I couldn't interpret. Not fear. Something else. Realization, maybe. Or resignation. His hand was clutching a data stick. I pried it from his fingers and plugged it into my suit's terminal. The file that opened was a video log, recorded from inside the pod. His voice was calm, too calm, like he'd already accepted what was happening. "If you're watching this, it means you made it further than I did. I don't know who you are or when you'll find this, but I need you to understand what the ship is doing. It's not broken. It's not malfunctioning. It's iterating. Every time someone wakes up, the timeline resets. Not back to the beginning, but forward, to a new branch. A new version of the same moment. The ship is looking for something. A specific outcome. A specific choice. I don't know what it is, but I know it's testing us. I've seen others. Wrecks on the surface. Different versions of the Meridian, different versions of the crew. All failures. All wrong. Whatever you do, don't go back to the ship. Don't try to wake the others. If you do, it starts again. And you won't remember. I shut off the log and stood in the silence of the wrecked bay, feeling the weight of it settle over me. I thought about the Meridian in orbit. The crew still asleep. Waiting for me. I thought about the distress signal, my own voice calling out for help that would never come. I thought about the choice I was being asked to make. Stay here, on this wrong Earth, alone with the knowledge that none of this was real. Or go back, wake the crew, and watch it all collapse into another iteration, another failed attempt at whatever the ship was trying to achieve. I climbed back into the shuttle and sat in the pilot's seat for hours, staring at the controls. The logical choice was obvious. Stay. Survive. Let the loop end with me. But I couldn't. I couldn't leave them asleep forever, trapped in whatever mechanism the ship had created. I fired the engines and ascended, watching the planet fall away below me, wondering how many other versions of myself had made the same decision. When I docked with the Meridian, the red emergency lights were gone. The ship was calm. Normal. Like nothing had happened. I walked to the cryobay and stood in front of the control panel, my hand hovering over the wake sequence. I activated it. The pods began to hiss and thaw, and I felt time itself shiver around me, like reality was holding its breath. The first pod opened, and my second-in-command sat up, gasping, eyes unfocused. She looked at me and smiled, relieved. "Hayes. Thank God. What's our status?" I opened my mouth to answer and felt the words dissolve before they could form. The command deck flickered. The stars outside the viewport shifted. And somewhere far below, on a planet that shouldn't exist, a distress signal began to broadcast. My voice. My words. Asking for help I would never be able to give. I looked down at my hands and saw them beginning to fade, translucent at the edges, unraveling. The crew was waking around me, confused, asking questions I couldn't hear anymore. The ship's computer chimed softly, a notification I'd heard before but couldn't place. Iteration 73 complete. Resuming search parameters. And then I was back in the pod, frost melting from my eyelashes, my lungs pulling their first real breath in what the ship's log claimed was 47 years. Outside the viewport, a star burned that had no name. And below it, rotating slowly in a perfect orbit, was Earth.